Okay, so this week we have The Secret World of Weather. I have such complex feelings about this book. First of all, I'll say the negative. I'm sorry. So obviously, The Secret World of Weather. What is The Secret World of Weather? By the way, he actually means something specific by The Secret World of Weather that you might not figure out until you begin reading the book. So that really is a meaningful question. How to read signs in every cloud, breeze, hill, street, plant, animal, and dewdrop. It's so good by Tristan Gooley. The back, they really put a lot of work right into making this a beautiful book, the most astonishing collection of weather signs ever assembled from master outdoorsman Tristan Gooley. He really seems to be. You might even want to read his little bio at the bottom here. This is the sort of book. It's actually designed more like a softcover book, where on the inside they don't have a dust jacket gives the information right here and right here. So they put that information on the back of the book instead. Ordinarily, this would be on the back inside cover. Yeah. You can look at the index, all that. Here's what I actually recommend focusing on with this book in your 5 minutes. This book is filled with pretty pictures, actually pretty pictures, not like Richard Miller's pseudo pretty pictures. This guy is a guy who takes aesthetics carefully. I gotta tell you the truth. I never like it when books gives those color plates in the middle. I've never enjoyed that. I'd much rather prefer having, this doesn't actually have a picture. I much rather prefer having real pictures, well, fake pictures, illustrations, black and white drawings, in the middle of the text, right next to what it is that they're talking about. So much of what he's talking about is visual, is like diagrams of how things work, picking these things randomly. You can learn so much of his book without ever reading his book, but just paying attention to his pictures. I think I tried to say that I wanted to say some of the negative things about this book, and I think I failed. He's not a great writer. He's not a terrible writer. He's not an amazing writer. His writing is not as clear as you want it to be. It does not pull you in. It does not lay things out really simply. So that is the problem. Just look at this, though. Look at this. He has worlds to understand here. I'll give you a hint as to what The Secret World of Weather means. Usually, for thousands of years, when humans talked about the weather, they talked about the weather in their specific little valley, in their town, in their down by the river, right? Whatever. And now that we have modern science, modern meteorology, we never talk about those things. We only talk about the big picture of the continent wide, right? A high front here and a low front here, and this stuff coming in, the El Nino force, the Gulf streams, whatever. Is that even a word, Gulf Stream? That's in the water, right? The jet stream. There we go. We've forgotten. We never talk about anymore the hyper local microclimates. He thinks that that's a loss. He points out that the reason that we don't talk about those things anymore is because those things are too hard for modern science. There are too many places. Things vary too much because where a specific hill is can really change the way that the weather is by your house. In this book, he brings the two together. He does talk about the big picture stuff, but he helps you become a master of understanding your very local spot and understanding how all of these things, the winds are shaped by the trees, and the winds are shaped by the valleys, and the winds are shaped by the clouds. This is the sort of book where you read it, and then not even by the end of the book, just as you read the book, you're able to do things like look up the clouds and say, oh my gosh, look at how high those clouds go. Those clouds seem to have a ceiling toward them. That must mean that the weather is unstable and we can expect storms soon or something like that. It's even the sort of book where on only page 10, you might read something like, it's easy to track a high-pressure system. We just need to keep tabs on wind direction. Winds circle clockwise around these systems, so if you have the wind on your back, the high-pressure system will be on your right. Does this sound familiar at all? In the case above, blah, 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 blah. Okay, well, there's another section near the beginning where he spells this out and says, what if you have the wind to your back and then you look up high and you see some clouds and they're going to the left or they're going to the right? It's possible that I got the entirety of this idea, the idea for your contest, from this very book. I wish I'd read this book as a kid. I guess it just came out a couple years ago. I wish I had a time machine and I could go back and give this book to me as a kid. I wish that every day I could like look at the weather and like be a little bit more thoughtful and keep building this mastery of this skill. I think that this book is as useful as some people's college educations. I recommend this book to you. Happy reading.